of Vibralux was pretty simple. From the beginning, it was Dave Temple's idea. He had a vision, and he always wanted to make ergonomic skate jeans for rollerbladers. This is about the same time where Video Action Sports decided they weren't going to pick up KFC2 because of the excessive swearing and the imagery. So I wrote them a scathing letter to the, basic gist of fuck you. It's my creative vision. I'm going to do whatever I want. I'll fucking distribute my own videos. I'm sick of giving you guys money to do a job I can do myself anyways. So that's when we started Straight Jacket Distribution. For the first video we actually made money on. Dave asked me, he's like, hey, I really like the video. It came out great. I think Alex is a fucking tremendous skater. How would you feel about investing in this clothing company? I told him, Dave, I really have no knowledge of clothing whatsoever. And he said, don't worry about that. Like, that's what I'm going to teach you. I'm going to take you under my wing, who should be a part of the clothing company. And, obvious first choice is going to be Alex Roscoe. So we brought Alex on. Dave and I were asking Alex, if you could have your, dream team, who would it be? And he brought on the Chris's, and, in all reality, it was the dream team. So we get the Chris involved. They're super excited, because a lot of baggage comes with Dave. You got Elements 2, all the cool things he did with Medium. I was even hesitant when he's like, no, we're gonna call it Vibralux. I'm like, Vibralux? Sounds like a vacuum cleaner and a vibrator. Kids are gonna eat us alive. He goes, don't worry about it. It's an amp from the 70s the family used to make. It'll be cool. Trust me, kids will love it. Sure as shit, first day, the announcement drops that, Alex, Chris, and Chris are skating for this new company started by Dave Temple, Vibralux. The kids were all over the name. And it hurt us even more that Vibralux was the name of a cross-dressing tranny band from Lawrence. So that just added fuel to the fire. And then you had Joe Navron come on and be like, hey, your boy Dave's corrupt, he's a snake, blah, blah, blah. And I started beefing with Joe on the message boards. It all got very out of hand, very quick, to the point that when we went down to the hoedown that year, the words were so heated that, like, it was kind of like a scene out of the Wild West where me and my friend Adrian pulled up outside of Eisenberg's, and, Joe and Arlo and Josh Petty and I forget, it might have been Shane Scour. They all come out of the mini and they're like, hey, you're AJ. This is right after my car accident, so I'm in a sling. And they're like, you're lucky your arm's broken, we beat the shit out of you. And at that point, Jeremy Morris called me to make sure I made it down there safe. I pulled my phone out of my pocket. Fucking Josh Petty comes up and bit slaps out of my hand. Fucking breaks my phone because things had escalated so bad to the point where I was talking shit on FP and they were talking shit on KFC. And it was all bad from the get-go, with the exception of the guys we had on the team, Alex, Chris, and Chris. So we make the first 4 shirts, sell out of them, no big deal. Reinvest in more shirts and hoodies for the winter line. And then it just gets to the point where, we're trying to grow a little too fast, and we get a giant purchase order from Latoll, and, they cancel their order after we get all the goods made. So we're just sitting on 200 some odd hats and all these hoodies, and it seems like we're never going to get to the place where we're making jeans. But this is also about the time that rollerblading started on its first decline. People weren't buying soft goods. And it was at that point where Dave Temple, realized that it was no longer going to be financially viable to not have a job or to have a part-time job and focus on Vibralux, teaching me the ins and outs of it, that, jeans might be something that we never attain. And so he proposed a decision to Alex and I. There's no money left in the company. There's no, product to be said. He goes, you guys can have the name and I'll walk away and, you guys can reinvest. And so I asked Alex, what do you want to do? At this time, he had been a professional rollerblader for a while, and, given that he doesn't do drugs or drink, he had, managed to save quite a bit of money, and we want to make fucking jeans. And, like, we all cared a lot about Vibralux, so we pushed forward, reinvested in the company, and, started from scratch, same way Dave and I did. So, kept releasing 3-panel beanies and other, like, full-print screeny beanies and t-shirts and hoodies. And then finally came the day where a manufacturer fell into our lap out of the Philippines that could give us a good deal on jeans. So we were successfully turned our stake in the company and our profits into the reality of jeans, and we came out with the James Dean jean. The James Dean jean did pretty well, but still at that point it was a little progressive for most rollerbladers who were still stuck in the, you know, the baggy jeans, and it was bad enough having to deal with that, let alone trying to sell a skinny jean to a market that wasn't ready for a skinny jean. There were outcries for baggier jeans. So probably one of the biggest pitfalls in the history of Vibralux was when we released the regs. Because not only was the fit god awful, but the color was terrible, and it got to the point where after a couple months we knew that we weren't going to be able to sell these jeans. Came out with the JD2, the James Dean Jean 2, which was a hit because at this point it had been about a year and a half since we came out with the JD1, and kids were finally ready to accept that, you know, their idols were no longer going to be skating in sweatpants. So we had a great run with the JD2s. They sold out, and it was about this time we decided to start focusing on signature jeans. That's when we released Chris Farmer Pro Black Jean. It was so great that it practically sold out before it hit the shelves. Until one day, you get a letter in the mail from a corporation that represents the estate of James Dean. It turns out that there's kids who graduate from law school who want to, you know, study whatever kind of law, and their whole job is they get assigned accounts. So one of this lady's accounts is James Dean. So she spends all day online searching for unlicensed merchandise bearing either James Dean's name or his likeness. So she stumbles upon this jean company. She sees these jeans in stores all over the world. She thinks she hit a fucking gold mine. Because, I mean, by all standards, if you're selling your jeans around the world, you're probably making, you know, 6 figures. Not the case in rollerblading, which so happens a smaller community. And so she hit us with a cease and desist order and then proceeded to try to sue us for $20,000. I laughed at that. I'm like, lady, we don't even have $20,000 in the bank right now to send you. Like, that's a fucking joke. And she's like, well, all right, fine, we'll take 10. I'm like, I tell you what I can do. I can do $2,200. So she settled with $2,200, cut that check, and, you know, that's about the time we realized, all right, we might be a little in over our heads, you know. So moving forward, no more hiccups, we start On Top. And On Top was probably the most amazing video that I've ever got to be a part of. Everybody was really happy with their parts. It was a great jumping off point for Vibralux because it was a promotional tool as well as a skate video. And so coming off On Top, you know, there's a great sense of accomplishment moving forward with the brand. You know, we'd released signature jeans, we just put out our, you know, our premiere video. There was great response to it. I got off the road and, you know, I wasn't in skate video making mode, and I was able to focus in on Vibralux and the production, you know, aspect of it, distribution, and, you know, we're getting picked up by more shops, we're getting into more countries, everything was going great. But there was a part of me that, like, was slowly dying inside. You know, I'm seeing Alex, I'm seeing Chris's, and, you know, Dawn's on at this point. They're all going, they're doing these cool things with their other companies, and I wanted to travel, I wanted to film. I just wanted to film. That's all I wanted to do. I just wanted to be on the road and film. And that's when we got into the next pothole. It was at this point that we had started Street Artists, and, you know, that was born out of, not necessity, but, you know, working with some of the guys on Razors, I realized that there were other people in the industry that I wanted to, you know, work on brands with. And I thought, well, what greater way to do another On Top kind of thing, but to bring both the brands together and to do a Street Artist / Vibralux video. And that's when I started throwing around the idea of charging. Rollerblading had gotten to the point where nobody wants to see the same old shit. So out of necessity, I felt we needed to just hit the road and try to go skate things that have never been skated before. This came with a price, though. And it took most every dime we had out of both companies, you know, that we just had laying around that wasn't tied up in production to, you know, accomplish the video. And the video turned out great in my opinion. Everybody who was in it thoroughly enjoyed it. But the response didn't pick up as we thought it would, you know. It was pirated 2 days after the video came out. Never really made back what we put into it. And that kind of put things on hold with both the companies. That combined with the fact that I was on the road for 10 months straight made it really hard to maintain the same level of promotion and sales and, you know, everything that goes into running a company when you're just one guy running a company. Getting off the road, I lasted about 2 months before I started going stir crazy, because filming for charging and being on the road, aside from all the struggles, was one of the most exhilarating times in my life. So when I went to get back on the road for Pariah and concede, like, hey, let's make another video, it was already to the point where it was do or die, and we just had to make the video. Like, I wanted to quit the video about 2 months in because I realized that we were gonna lose way more money than we had with charging, because things weren't coming together the same way they did. Like, we basically could have made a video after the first 2 months of filming for charging. The first 3 months went so poorly shooting Pariah that we probably had cumulative 50 tricks, to say the best. The video that should have taken 5 months to produce ended up taking 8 months to produce. $30,000 later, again, all the money from both companies were dumped into the production of the video with the hope that we would recoup some of our losses. And that didn't pan out. So now I'm back in Lawrence, and we have a wealth of footage moving forward that if we ever achieve our goals of actually getting outside and being able to brand Vibralux or street outside of rollerblading, that we have things to show people that they've never seen before, and that are probably some of the top skating ever recorded on camera. So now it's time to get back to the roots, back to what made Vibralux and street so successful in the beginning, and just running the goddamn companies. You know, this is the first step. Vibralux Valo collaboration, the AB. It's time to put the nose to the grindstone and fucking knock this shit out.